is Tuesday, the 26th of November, 2024. My name is Pigeon Rose, and this is my song of the day. Today, we're talking about a song by an artist called Casiotone for the Painfully Alone. This is the former musical project of a guy called Owen Ashworth. He currently releases music as Advance Bass, but back in the day, he used to perform as Casiotone for the Painfully Alone. He released a few albums over the course of the 90s and early 2000s, and then retired the name and started performing as Advance Bass instead. I discovered him through a random YouTube recommendation, I believe. I think I just saw like a stream of the full album and the album art caught my eye and I was like, sure, why not? And then I was listening to it and I was like, oh, this really reminds me of the Magnetic Fields actually. So naturally I enjoyed it. The song we're talking about today is from the 2006 album Etiquette that I noticed on YouTube. It is track 4. It's called I Love Creedence. From the first time I listened to it, this is one of the songs that stood out to me, along with New Year's Kiss and Holly Hobby, kind of the big standouts for me, and Love Connection, but that's a cover, so it doesn't not quite as significant, but I Love Creedence is probably my favorite song on the album, and that's why we were talking about it today. So let's go listen to it now and then come back in a few minutes and talk about it. There it is, quite a short song, which is one of the many reasons why they remind me of the Magnetic Fields, but I forced you, if you're a regular listener, I forced you to listen to an entire week of the Magnetic Fields, so maybe you'll understand what I mean when I say that. But there's just something about the feel of the kind of lo-fi synth sounds and the deep voice speaking kind of poetic storytelling lyrics. It just gives me that sort of Magnetic Fields vibe. Another thing that the Magnetic Fields do is they don't tend to specify too many genders or anything. They tend to leave the topics, or at least the characters in the story, pretty ambiguous so that a lot of people can relate to it. And in this story that this song tells, the main character says their own name and they say their best friend's name and they gender their best friend and they gender someone else in the story, but they never gender themselves. And so first listening to it, I just assumed it was a guy because it's a guy singing it. But when I started looking up the lyrics, I saw a lot of people saying that it makes more sense for it to be a woman, and I tend to agree with that. I think it makes more sense for this to be a song about female friendship. It can still work if you view the main character as a man, but I think it just works better that way. And that's how we're going to kind of treat the lyrics as we read them. And so let's do just that. Let's read them. I'm Creedence Clearwater Wright, best friend of Lodi. We've been tight since Percy Elementary, class of 1985. We moved together out to Philly after college, took a 2-bedroom at South and 9th. I sold my violin so we could have it easy. Elle got her grandmother's money when she died. So right away, just bombarding you with details. The character's name is Creedence Clearwater Wright. When I first heard it, I thought it was, I'm Creedence Clearwater, Wright. Like he's saying like, do you understand? Do you hear me? Right? Like I just did. It's actually the surname Wright with a W. And if you know your classic bands, you would probably recognize that Creedence Clearwater is a reference to the band Creedence Clearwater Revival. And the next line is best friend of Lodi, as in the name Elodie, Elodie, and the surname Eye. But Creedence Clearwater Revival have a song called Lodi, which is spelt Lodi, or Lodi. And so it's this very clever thing at the start here of referencing Creedence and then referencing one of their songs, but still creating new characters with it. And so now Creedence Clearwater Revival's name will always make me think of this song instead. It's just how it goes, I suppose. I also named a character Elodie because of this song, but that's a whole other thing. Anyway, I've talked before about how I love specific details, and this is one of those things. Apart from just referencing other things, just giving the names of these two main characters right away. Great. And then we've been tight since Percy Elementary, class of 1985. I have no idea if Percy Elementary is a real place. I mean, there probably is somewhere called that, but I don't know if he's referencing a specific real place. But it immediately gives you a name of a school and a year that they graduated in. So that tells you everything you need to know right away. Then we moved together out to Philly after college, took a 2-bedroom at South and 9th. So again, just all of these very specific details. They moved to Philadelphia. They moved into a 2-bedroom apartment on the corner of South and 9th Street. And it's just great. I love just the bombarding of details here. I sold my violin so we could have it easy. Elle got her grandmother's money when she died. So it's kind of a different circumstances here. One person, the narrator, is a musician and they sell their violin because they need the money, whereas the other person, Elodie, got lucky/unlucky. I mean, her grandmother died, which is unfortunate, but she inherited her money, so she was able to pay her rent, right? And then we get the next bit. We laughed like we were queens. We split our ball gowns at the seams, and every single time I'd dream it was only Elle and me. But then she slipped away from me. She met a boy from New Jersey, and they fell fast in love, of course. I swear it felt like a divorce. This September, I'll be 26 years old, and Elle's the only one besides my dad who's ever said, I love you, Creedence. So I love how this song is only really kind of 2 verses, 2 choruses, but I love just the pace of this. The we laughed like we were queens, we split our ball gowns at the seams, and every single time I dream, it was only Elle and me. Just the kind of relentless, continuous pace of it in this sort of monotonous voice, you know? And also squeezing words to fit into the meter of it. She met a boy from New Jersey. No one says New Jersey like that, but it fits into the rhyme, right? And they fell fast in love, of course. I swear it felt like a divorce. You know, just kind of singing these things in an odd cadence because of the meter of the song. I always enjoy that. But yeah, it talks about how they have this like close friendship, laugh like we were queens and split our ball gowns at the seams. And every single time I dream, it was only Elle and me. Now, of course, I am talking about female friendship. It could very well be a gay thing. They could not be, quote unquote, roommates. But I think it's a more interesting story if it's just about losing a best friend. Because then it's, you know, then she slipped away from me. She met a boy from New Jersey and they fell fast in love. Of course, I swear it felt like a divorce. She's comparing it to a romantic relationship, but it isn't a relationship because she says, I swear it felt like a divorce, like it's something you need to be convinced of, you know what I mean? But it's just such a kind of typical and sad situation of having this close friend that they have the best time in the world with, but then she meets someone and moves away, you know? And it just can be quite sad to lose that closeness anyway. And then you get this September, I'll be 26 years old, so it tells you how old she is. Not very. And Elle's the only one besides my dad who's ever said, I love you, Creedence. Such a sad thing. I'm in my mid-20s, and the only person who's ever said, I love you, apart from my own parent, is my best friend. And then the next bit, took a job downtown. It's an hour on the bus each way, typing letters for a lawyer in a bad toupee. It's dumb, I know, but it pays okay. And did I mention I moved out? I got my own place off of South, and I've been living hand to mouth for going on a year by now. And yes, I still see Elle around. It's different, but I can't say how. She cut her hair, it's back to brown. She's living with her boyfriend now. And since September, I've been 26 years old. She's still the only one besides my dad who's ever said, I love you, Creedence. So we then just get the rest of the story in a whirlwind of how their friendship kind of fell apart. But it's, you know, took a job downtown. It's an hour on the bus each way, typing letters for a lawyer in a bad toupee. It's dumb, I know, but it pays okay. She just like kind of offhandedly says, I have this job. It's shit. I get enough money to get by, whatever. And then immediately launches into, did I mention I moved out? So it feels like she's presenting it like an afterthought, but it's actually not. Do you know what I mean? Like it's, oh, and did I mention I moved out? Like she wants it to sound nonchalant, but it isn't. I got my own place off of South, so she moved away. I've been living hand to mouth for going on a year by now, and that means that she's poor, right? Living hand to mouth means you only have enough to feed yourself, and that's it, right? She talks about how she has this okay paying job, and she's moved to a new apartment, but she's living like shit. And yes, I still see Elle around. It's different, but I can't say how. She cut her hair, it's back to brown. She's living with her boyfriend now. So talking about this kind of imperceptible difference in their friendship, which is almost sadder than them like having a big explosive blowout, you know? It's so just that slow drifting, and like she's not sure how she could describe their relationship being different, but it is. It's different, but I can't say how. And then she cut her hair, it's back to brown. She's living with her boyfriend now, which kind of implies maybe the boyfriend is like reining her in a bit, but it also feels like it might just be a jealous thing to say or notice, you know? And then at the end, and since September, I've been 26 years old. So it hasn't been too much of a time gap, but it certainly is a time jump, you know? And then she's still the only one besides my dad who's ever said I love you, Creedence. So she hasn't moved on, so to speak. So there's certainly romantic undertones you can read into it, but I prefer to think of it as a friendship story, not in a like hiding the gay ideas here. I just think it's a more interesting story. But yeah, I really like that. It just ends suddenly in the middle of a note, and I like it. It's just a short, abrupt story that's very sad, and we know that's the kind of thing I like. Thank you so much for listening. Please hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment down below, tell me what you think, tell other people about the show. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Break it down.